He said, the assistant commissioner. Okay, let's say you, anytime you had seen the commissioner or you were, because there are certain issues which had cropped, I said that why you have not informed the commissioner? He said, no, I have never appeared before the commissioner at all. But the order is marked by the commissioner, because no hearing had taken place before the commissioner. Everything what was done was by that particular assistant commissioner. So he said, okay, but the order is signed by the commissioner. How can he sign the order when the hearing has been taking place by some other authority? So he said, no, we are day in, day out appearing in these before this particular exemption authorities. And normally this is the standard practice where the assistant commissioner takes the hearing and the orders are passed by the commissioner. I said, how can he do that? A hearing has been done by somebody else and the order. And thereafter I asked him whether you are ready to give an affidavit stating that all the hearings and proceedings have been taking place. He said, yes, that's the fact. I had appeared before him, I had signed the order sheet and he had also signed the order sheet. Then I said whether the commissioner had said, he said no, I don't have any idea, because it might have happened after the order sheets are signed at the end, the commissioner might have signed. But we raised this one of the additional ground before the tribunal, and we had filed along with the grounds the affidavit of the chartered accountant who had represented that particular firm. The tribunal looked into that and he said, yes, prima facie it seems so, that all this allegation, unless the department is able to rebut that. Thereafter he said that we will do one thing, we will not pass any speaking order or detail on this issue. What we are doing, because we have raised this ground, we will set aside the order and we will again direct the commissioner to take the personal hearing. So in this decision, subsequent, another ground was raised in that Gulapi's case, that the particular minister had not taken the hearing. Some of his secretary had taken the hearing and the order was passed. So this comes under the delegated legislation. If a power has been given to a particular authority, only he can decide. He cannot further delegate to somebody else. If a 148, the approval of 140 is to be given by a joint commissioner or a commissioner, it cannot be further delegated to additional commissioner or assistant commissioner. To that effect, we will get so many judgments where the delegation of power is there, not provided under the Act, it is held to be back. So these are some finer aspects of this principle what we see in our tax proceedings. Anything?
So cross-examination opportunity, sir. Now suspicious purchases.
Yeah.
X is giving declaration that I was running 100 bogus firms.
Yes.
Proprietor X, say 1, 2, 3. And now we have challenged, we want to cross-examine.
Yes.
Department say, because you have been given statement, affidavit is filed. So it is your witness, so you produce that party. Can say it third, see now.
If I understand your question, yeah, your question is who is the witness and who is going to produce. Actually, this aspects come in the arena of Evidence Act.
Indian evidence.
See, if you want to allege or you want to state a particular fact, who is the person first who is asserting this fact? If the department is saying that I have a copy of a statement of some persons who have given a statement against you.
X has given on behalf of 100 firms. I have taken, let it say, from purchasing from 98 to 99 parties.
Yes.
That proprietor is separate person.
So therefore, this is totally a very weird case where one person is saying on behalf of 10 different persons. So here it is department's witness who has to produce, because department is relying, you are not relying on that. The onus is on you to produce your invoices, your payment challans, your receipt challans and other aspects from your side. What are these called as a primary evidence. The moment you produce all these things, the onus shifts on the department to say that if you are alleging that these things are bogus and you have something so-called statement or so-called declaration, you kindly produce those parties, let me cross-examine those parties.
I have taken from purchase from X. X is giving affidavit, I have sold to Mr. Siddhi. This is a bogus purchase.
Yes.
Then who's
either case, your case is that one person is giving on behalf of 10% or that one person is giving on his own behalf. In either case, it is the department who has to
witness.
Produce the witness. It's a matter of evidence who is going to produce the witness. It's a witness of the department in such a case. Any queries?
Last one. Yes, the statement is recorded of an SEC. he takes a counsel with him or his representative, advocate or. Now, what will be the role of the advocate?
Normally in such cases or something, normally a SSC tries to call his professional, a chartered accountant or a lawyer.
Summons, I think,
normally in summons. Normally here the statement is recorded. Even if you try to take your chartered accountant or a lawyer along with you, he has no role really to play. He cannot intervene in the matter. He cannot prompt you. He cannot tell you that guide you what statement has to be recorded. They are just merely recording your statement. They are not going to take any action or there is no proceedings which is going to go on further. So the role of a chartered accountant or advocate is nothing merely to go and sit there. The benefit
debar that particular.
Primarily he should not, but if he does so, thereafter if he has used some coercion over you, then you can say that he has not in fact allowed my professional representative to get in, and thereafter when I went in, he has used force or he has used coercion, undue influence in recording my statement which I want to retract or I want to modify that statement to so and so extent. So that is the basic role. At the most, to that extent you can use it. Thank you friends. Yes, Toral.
Normally when statements are recorded in survey or search, copy is not even on the spot. It's not given for a long time.
No, so the moment your statement is recorded in search cases, survey cases, and your search some material has been, the first thing the next day you should do is write a letter asking for the copies of the statement, asking for the copies of the seized document. This will not only help you to revert the initial burden, but at the end, maybe at the time of your filing of your return, if there are some mistake, they have not provided you with the seized material and there is some mistake in calculation, some expenses have not been taken in account, some income has been left out, it is a very good plea which you can take later on, saying that the seized material was not provided and there was either there was a delay in filing of your return or there was a mistake in your computation or in your preparing of your accounts which has led to so and so. So this is one of a very good ground which you can later on go in ahead. So it is very necessary that you raise this particular plea. Also, if you want to retract it or you want to modify your statement, this particular letter will be of great help to you to show that if they have given normally a retraction is there, they say that it should be immediately, but immediately after receipt of the statement, not immediately after the survey or search. Because only after you receive that statement, you will go through it, you will go check and thereafter you can retract it.
I think we will have to end the session. Few questions can be addressed offline. Ajay is available here. Friends, thank you very much. Thank you, Ajay, for being very effective in spite of being short time, crisp, difficult talk as usual. Ajay is very good at that. And really thank you for that, Ajay. Let me also tell you one thing that Ajay was the earlier chairman of this committee where I am fortunately chairman today. And he has been very helpful in designing this entire structure. Also, I am thankful to Ajay for that also. In the whole structure of this course, he has been with me and I am really thankful for that.
But I was not in the structure he has put in.
And I would request now Dinesh Poddar to please propose a vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to thank Mr. Ajay, who is also my good friend. You all will agree with me that Mr. Ajay has given substantial justice to today's topic with his vibrant speech. He has explained that common sense is the mother of natural justice. With all this knowledge, I, on behalf of member present here and Chamber of Tax Consultants, request you all to propose a very hearty vote.
We will have a next session on next Friday, sharp at 5:45. So please engage the available. Thank you.